I'm joined today by Assemblywoman Michele Matsikoudis. Thanks for joining me, Michele.
Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, well, we're doing all things budget today and talking about expectations as well as hopes that you might have for the budget. Before the budget day, though, we released a report and we tried to translate what's going on here into what residents and businesses, should think about in terms of the impact on them, on income taxes, sales taxes, if spending continues. And of course, we've been the advocate for we shouldn't be raising taxes on either residents or businesses because of the competitiveness of our state and some of the really weaknesses that we'll talk about that you can see in signs of our economy. So where are you on the budget and what do you think is going to happen?
Well, what I think is going to happen and what I hope is going to happen are two vastly different things. There's two ways to attack a bloated budget and overspending. You can either stop spending or you can raise taxes. My hope is that we stop some of our spending and we concentrate on things like business. I would love to see more businesses coming into our state. Geographically, we are situated as the perfect state to do business in, but yet we are one of the worst states to do business in because we have such high tax rates. Recently, they've sunsetted the CBT tax, and I'm hoping that it stays where it is, but I'm hearing rumors that it may not, which is deeply concerning to me. And I feel like one of the things that we can do if we can have lower taxes, we can attract more businesses to come and stay in our state, new businesses which would bring innovation and technology. And finally, those businesses would bring in revenue and help us with economic growth. Therefore, it would be a nice way to kind of balance out some of the spending that we're doing.
Well, it sounds like, you're listening to some of the decisions that were made in Pennsylvania, right? Recently, they decided that the approach to grow their economy was to, in fact, address their tax rate, right?
Yeah.
And they're stepping down, right? They've decided that not all at once, but take a reasonable stepping down of the corporate tax rate because they've seen in other states, right, in Indiana, in Iowa, in North Carolina, that as you do that, not only do jobs and businesses come in, but state tax revenue goes up.
And you're bringing in more families, and which again translates into people wanting to spend more money and revenues going up, and it just helps everyone. It's a win-win for the state.
Right. Now, another big component of the budget, of course, is education, and specifically K through 12 education, which I know, is a subject that you're spending time on, as well as higher ed. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, but we'll stick with K through 12. So it's a subject that we looked at over time when you look back on spending, which has fulfilled now the S2, right? The obligation for full funding will, I believe, be fulfilled this year. But as we watch that, right, spending on K through 12 education's gone up, our numbers say 17%, but the enrollment in schools is down 4%. Right. And trending. Those two things are trending in the opposite directions, more spending and lower enrollment. And some would argue, of course, the distribution of the funding is not to the best needs of our students. So what say you about the education funding?
Well, I say that we should be sticking with our commitments. We should be standing behind them. And when it comes to the school funding formula, we have committed to do that. We have committed to fully fund the school funding formula, but yet we never do that. So I feel like that there is just a disproportion going on with regard to this. And it's so funny when I think about my own family household budget, I can't imagine turning around and saying, oh, I think instead of paying PSE and G this month, they'll understand. I'm going to go and pay my American Express or Visa bill. So.
Yeah. Well, spending, balancing it among the districts is, of course, one of the thorniest issues because of it's easy to give out money, not so much to, take it back. And, one of the things that we also looked at was not only the total amount that we're spending, but relative to our competitors. And as you know, Massachusetts, I'm sure you talk about this on the committee, Massachusetts we're 1 and 2 with them in terms of student performance, but yet they deliver that performance for 10% maybe 15% in some studies, less than we do on a per pupil basis. Now for New Jersey, I mean, that means it's, over $3 billion we could save if we just spent the same as Massachusetts. Is the Department of Education or anyone looking at, like, how can we learn from Massachusetts and how can we spend less and get more for it?
We have looked into some of that, to be determined, what direction that will go with some of that. And I think right now, I find that from an education standpoint in the committee that I'm on, what we are really delving into right now is the teacher shortage. And it is really affecting students. And, a lot of people in education think that we just need to throw money at this problem, when there are so many other ways that we can attack this.
Such as
residency requirements. I cannot understand why a teacher that lives in a town like New Hope can't cross over and come to Lambertville, New Jersey and teach. It's just not acceptable. It's a problem. Reciprocity, another issue. And we need to find creative ways to keep teachers to stay engaged in teaching. Instead of just increasing their salaries, there's other ways that we can keep people happy.
Well, we're doing some work as well that'll come out later, looking at the fringe benefits, though. Can you get like a portable pension instead of the traditional pension that the teachers have now, and some of the more choices on health benefits, because that's what they get in other industries, right, in the state, to keep them in the industry that, as a younger worker, that's really the things that they're looking for.
Absolutely.
In the budget discussions that are going on now, right, there are a lot of things being drawn into that aren't really part of the state budget.
Yeah.
And some of it is New Jersey Transit, which are, a set of issues. Tolls are going up on residents for both Parkway and the Turnpike. Energy costs in New Jersey are also higher than the rest of the country. So all these things are really pressuring. What are you hearing from constituents, and what do they expect, do you think, in terms of their government and delivering value for the taxes they pay?
I don't think that they feel that they're getting value for the taxes that they pay. If you want to talk about tolls for a minute, I don't understand why, a nice way to go about that is to allow residents in the state of New Jersey to get a discount on their tolls, and then let the out-of-state commuters have to pay.
Or the transient trucks, right? A lot of trucks just transit through, and we talk about that a lot because they create a lot of wear and tear on the roads, more so than the average.
Exactly. And the other thing is the energy vehicles are also causing wear and tear on the roads as well.
They're heavier, right? Those vehicles are heavier.
Because they are heavier, and yet they're not paying into the Transportation Trust Fund. They're not paying into extra transit taxes. So things like that, I think, are very important to be looked at.
Yeah, but the EV or electric vehicles subject is going to be, I think, prominent for next several years for some of the issues that you're talking about, and the gas tax, and the TTF, or Transportation Transit Fund, and the renewal of that. So you'll get involved in all those, I'm sure.
Absolutely, and the governor is saying by 2035, he's mandating that all cars will be EV, and I just think that is such a lofty goal. I don't think it's well thought out. I don't know how we can possibly, as a state, really follow through with something like that.
Yeah, as we know, the federal government is also kind of relenting a bit on some of the goals that they've set in that subject, which I presume might flow down to us as well.
We only hope.
So thank you for being with us, Michele, and we'll have you back after the budget, and we'll see what actually came out.
Thank you so much.